you have to introduce yourself.
I just did. You interrupted me, Susan. Hey, welcome back to How to Survive High School English. This is Lee Butterfield, and we have a special guest today. This is Miss Larissa Wright-Elson. Say hello, children.
Hello, children.
Used to take notes in a very bad way, and we're going to get to that in a minute, because today we're talking about Cornell notes. I've recently started Cornell notes. I'm learning more about it, so we brought Miss Wright-Elson in because she's a pro.
I am, and the reason I like Cornell notes, or as I call them, two-column notes, because Cornell University itself gets too much credit for everything.
So this is over Cornell University, not Cornell West?
I don't know. No, it's not Cornell West.
It's not Cornell West?
No. Did you really think that?
No, not at all. I think it'd be better if it were Cornell West. We'd be raging against the man with our note-taking! Speaking of raging against the man, so notes are tough, and I always had difficulty with notes in high school. I was always passing them and getting caught.
I still have my notes from high school. I think I'm a hoarder, and I have problems. Crush on Jake. He's not on Facebook. Email him and find him and tell him that.
That is my new professional goal. I used to start at the bottom corner, and I thought it was really cool to draw little squares and circles that never intersected, and it would cover half my page, and then up here it would say, homework due tomorrow.
And did you know what the homework was?
No. You should hear what she used to do in her notebooks, like do flip books of car crashes, and she still has them from high school.
I might be able to use those papers again, like in another class.
Right, because flip books of car crashes are useful when you're teaching high school English as an adult.
And relate to the maturity level of your students or your colleagues.
I don't do that. Dragons coming in and like wrote down notes for the next D&D tournament.
We would get grades on the number of notes that we took at a detention my sophomore year of high school for not annotating my copy of Hamlet, and I'm still kind of angry about it.
And she still has it.
I do. It doesn't have very many
Oh
notes
my
in it.
goodness. I had a really good trick of folding them. Some of you might know this trick. I would fold them, I would put them in my pocket, and I would never look at them ever again for the rest of my life. But those weren't Cornell notes. I actually found out that the act of taking the notes was more valuable than ever looking at them again.
Well, Cornell notes help you focus and process information. So if you look at the first column on the left-hand side, that's where you write down the main ideas or the questions you have or important vocabulary. And then in the big column is where you elaborate on all of that. So you focus in on the important information, and then it's like you're explaining it to yourself. So you're processing all of that stuff.
When you watch a really good movie the first time, you have funny moments that you liked because you laughed, because you're interacting with it, or you have moments in a horror movie, and it sticks with you. And then you go watch the movie again another time, and since you've interacted with all those moments, all of a sudden you're like, wow, I totally missed that part before. When you interact with something, that's the part that sticks with you. So if you go look at it again, you'll start to notice the things you missed the first time.
Right. So you summarize like all the information that you just tried to put into your brain. So you take it all one step further. Now you should have read this yourself, Butterfield.
Probably should have. My question about the summary. I understand summary is taking like the main idea and boiling it down into like a few sentences, coming up with like a sentence that starts with, I thought this, or I expected blank, get me to judge what I'd gone through.
So it's for you, it's that metacognitive piece where you're thinking about your own thinking.
And I know it doesn't say that there, and this is kind of funny. So I was writing in it, and I realized that I don't write very long summaries. Some guy wanting to avenge his dad.
Batman. Anything.
I was thinking more Lion King, but...
Well, that's the thing with the summary. If you make it more specific, then you realize what it's actually for. So if I heard that summary and I thought Batman, but you were intending the Lion King, then we know your summary needs to have more details, what's important about it.
So does it help then to say what I thought got me to that point?
I think so.
She's gonna probably go home. Now, you're probably gonna go home and look at the notes again and like compare it to what you were reading. Whereas when I take notes, I end up still doing that same thing. I fold them and I put them in my pocket and I never look at them again. Writing it this way, discussing why it helped me or why it didn't help me to go through that lesson or listen to that lecture or read that book, it stuck with me. I find the little details like how really good Madonna's ex-husband is, Guy Ritchie, at putting...
I was thinking Sean Penn.
Well, there could be a number of them. It could have been Dennis Rodman, Rodney Dangerfield. Even in hell, I get no respect.
She wasn't married to Dennis Rodman. I don't.
Wasn't she?
I don't think they were married. We're gonna look that up and get
They've
in the
decided
next
to
video.
consciously decouple.
They were awesome.
Awesome. Thanks again for joining us for How to Survive High School English. Tune in next week where we're going to talk about how to build vocabulary cards that actually have a use. And we are also going to the progressive flashcard system, which makes vocabulary useful instead of making you want to crawl into a deep, dark pit and find her notebooks full of car crashes to review while listening to the Donnie Darko soundtrack. When I'm most depressed, I listen to that album.
Well, and it's Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, and don't forget to follow me on @ButterfieldP1 and follow your newsies at @BetterTeaCoffee and follow Wright-Elson at
Wright-Elson.
Beautiful. And
Really
remember to reach on down and subscribe to the channel so that you can keep coming back and survive high school English, because without us, you will perish. I'm trying to invoke you.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. And I just got word that these two crazy guys, they're getting back together to do a whole new series of films this year for the Better Than Coffee channel. So take a look at what they've done in the past and realize that together, they can do anything. And subscribe!
Hello, I'm Professor Angus McSmartstuff, and on today's episode of Science with Professor Angus McSmartstuff, I'm going to be telling you about the wonders of snow. Snow is cold and it often falls from the sky. Snowflakes always have 6 sides. There's no arguing to that fact, so didn't even try to argue